Welcome to Gary Numan Cars. Today is going to be special.
These days, the only place you can really explore the full potential of your car or learn about high performance driving without breaking the law is on a racing track. Track days are becoming ever more popular, and they don't come much better than Palmer Sport at the Bedford Autodrome.
At Bedford you can spin the cars if you really want to, but you know we're out there pushing you guys as hard as you want. It's 400 acres, it's got 4 separate circuits, it opened in August '99. And really it's here so you can come as a guest and really have the freedom to open up the car.
It's a purpose-built driving centre created by ex-Formula 1 racing driver Jonathan Palmer, and there are a number of exciting cars available to be driven. But the one I'm most looking forward to driving is a single-seater Palmer Audi.
Every event that we do, they get demoed, which means an instructor shows them exactly how they want them to drive the course, and then they go out on their own and they do laps. And each lap is timed, whether it's with an instructor or without, and I write down the fastest lap time.
To spice things up even more, we've been split into teams and compete against each other for the best lap times.
Basically, what you got to do is just build up, okay? Rather than going out flat out straight away, you're more than welcome to, but you'll miss the apexes and things like that. You'll just keep trying harder and harder, and you'll eventually just be going slower rather than quicker. I recommend putting your foot on the floor so you don't press the clutch by mistake. All right, so it's a slight brake, turn it into that red cone there. So now apply the power.
We've got a 2.2 litre engine with 145 brake horsepower that will get from 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. Combine that with the precise handling and you've got an excellent track car.
Again, looking ahead, remembering looking what's happening next, okay? Again, just past the brake, now brake, off the brakes, turn in, aim for that red cone, then accelerate out. Good, using all the track, apply the brakes, turn in, then accelerate out. Good. Okay, trying to keep as tight as you can to the red cone over the left there, then turn it back in. You really get a good exit there.
The VX220 isn't the fastest car I've driven, but the performance is exciting nonetheless.
Off the brakes, turn in. Okay, keep accelerating, brake, off the brakes, turn. Now accelerate, keep it going, keep accelerating, and late braking, now brake, into second, that's it. Wait for the power, now accelerate.
Oh, that felt really rushed and scary.
No, that's what it should feel like.
Oh, really?
Right, last lap this one, so make it do or die.
It's a huge amount of fun. No rev limits, no speed limits. I was amazed, not at how quickly I went, but at how quickly the instructor was pushing me to go.
Okay, into the pits this time. All right, well, we improved. Well, yeah, by miles. The first lap was a 43. The last lap was a 40.7. So we did improve an awful lot there. It was much better.
Normally I would be expecting to say, you know, sort of brake a bit earlier or whatever, and it was just, no, brake later, go faster. And it was just pushing on the whole time. And that's the first time I've gone out of it, my fingers were trembling like that, and I wasn't, well, I did I'm not scared, but maybe I was, but I just felt like I was on the ragged edge, really, a little bit, for my, you know, for my ability, but it was absolutely brilliant. I had a sneaky look at the 2 times that people had done before me, and they were doing 43 seconds and something, and I did 40.7. So I've done it right compared to the first 2, but it's a shame because you get in the feeling that if you could just do another 4 or 5 laps, you could just make a big dent on that as well.
Although the VX220 offers good performance, the Lotus Exige takes it a step further, and is arguably as close to a road-legal racing car as you can get. The Exige is impressively quick, with a 0 to 60 of just 4.7 seconds, and the engine noise is fantastic. You sit very low down, and the car is so precise it feels like a big go-kart, but with a massive amount of power. I definitely prefer it to the VX220. Cornering is amazing. It has huge amounts of grip and, with its mid-engine layout, is beautifully balanced. When the back stepped out though, I still wasn't quick enough to catch it. I'm not sure how many times it went round, but it felt pretty spectacular from where I was sitting.
I mean, once it starts to go, if you've lost control, just stamp on the brake.
Again, I just couldn't believe how hard we were being pushed by the instructors. Absolutely brilliant.
It was brilliant. I did, it was so fun. I can't believe how they're pushing you on. You know, you would expect them to be saying, oh, you know, back off, just like on the last one. And they're just pushing you on. And the ball comes up that says brake. And he's going, keep going, keep going. Are you sure? Steaming into the corner. And then you go into the corner and then he tells you to put your foot down. And it works. But the whole car is moving. And in that briefing, that said about not going over the white lines, that's just totally ignored. Totally. You're over everything. Over the curbs, and he's going, excellent, excellent. It just blew me away. It's only 2 times I've ever spun and did them both on one of those laps. The first one apparently was doing about 90. And we ended up in the grass. He went round about 3 times and there was smoke and it smelt bad. And ended up in the grass, and then I think I come off in the next one. One of them, when I put my foot on the brake, I got the throttle as well, and we just carried on going. But it was brilliant. But yeah, like I said, apparently I'm in that car, about 4 or 5 seconds quicker than anyone else so far, so that's quite encouraging. I got expelled from the grammar school for bad behaviour. Yeah, well, that was it really. You know, it encompassed many things, but what happened was I wanted to be a musician. I didn't want to be a musician. I wanted to be a pop star, which isn't necessarily the same thing. I just wanted to be a pop star, rock star, whatever. And the more I followed that path at home, you know, as a hobby, the more I realised that school was offering me nothing. The school was becoming an irritation, and stupidly, I know, you know, but when you're young, that you see things differently, and I just wanted it out of the way. I wanted to get out of school and I wanted to get on with my music career, I wanted to get my band going and so on, and start getting some money together. And I had no interest in an alternative career. People kept saying, oh, you need something to fall back on, but that's the kiss of death. You know, if you've got something to fall back on, you'll never go for it as wholeheartedly, with as much abandon, I think, as you need to, perhaps. The way I saw it was like that anyway. So I didn't want a career to fall back on. I didn't want to have a safety net. I wanted to, that was going to be my whole life, was trying to become a rock star. And I started to rebel against authority. Puberty kicked in. What a terrible time for that to start working, isn't it? You're at school, you've got all this horrible male testosterone rubbish coursing through your body anyway, you know, trying to make you pick fights with people because you think that's what you're supposed to do. Just weird stuff that boys go through. And then your private parts start coming to life, and all that starts kicking in as well. And there's half the class is girls, and every one of them becomes a potential target for you to impress them. And it's just, and you're supposed to be learning about history and geography, rock strata, and you've got a girl sitting beside you and all this stuff's going on. How can they ever expect kids to learn anything? They should make us work up chimneys until we're 18 or 19 or 20, and then we should go to school once we've got all that out of us. That's obviously a very stupid thing to say, but there's some sense in it. Really. Anyway, I got expelled for bad behaviour because I had extreme versions of all those things that can go wrong with a young man, including spots.
So, if the Exige is, as some people claim, a thinly disguised racing car, how about something with a bit more in the way of creature comforts? The Honda S2000. Even though it comes with an armful of luxuries, this car can still get up and go. With a 0 to 60 time of 6.3 seconds, it won't exactly rip your hair off, but in the right hands it can give many so-called performance cars a run for their money. I said the right hands, of course, not mine.
Brakes feel quite different to the Lotus.
They are,
really.
you do have to give them quite a squeeze actually. Yeah, that's one of the most common problems, is people come out of the car and don't really brake hard enough. Okay, we'll stay on the power now, up to 50 metres. So keep going, now start braking, and turn in, bit of power on the turn in. So increase the power now.
The Honda is far more difficult to drive hard than the Lotus. I was told by my instructor that it has a tendency for the back to step out with little warning, and that, as it turned out, was putting it mildly.
Good recovery, back on the power.
I thought I was getting the hang of it until this happened. A slightly aggressive turn-in, too late on the power, and the little car was completely unbalanced.
Balance the throttle, keep it balanced, bring it out to the yellow cone, now turn in, brake in a straight line, back on the power, out to the yellow cone, and turn in on full power there, full power, and brake. Back on the power, that's it, full power. It likes to be on the power, this car.
It just anchors it all down.
Yeah, if you turn in too quick, the weight's all on the front, and it just wants to pitch round from the back. If you turn in without the power on too quick, it flies round from the back.
So you're needing to get that balanced throttle on as you go into the corner.
Absolutely, as you start to turn in, pick up that little bit of power.
What if 2 seats doesn't really suit? If you need something slightly more practical? If you don't want to give up that racing edge, you could always try the Honda Integra Type R. Strangely enough, although this car looks a bit normal, it's actually one of the most exciting and forgiving cars of the day. It's only got a 1.8 litre engine, but will rev to a staggering 8,000 RPM.
What you've got to remember is it's front wheel drive, okay? And one of the characteristics of a front wheel drive car, you will maybe develop some understeer. Understeer being when you're turning into a corner, the thing doesn't want to sort of grip, it wants to keep going straight. Whatever you do, don't whack more and more steering lock on. Everybody does, it's the obvious thing to do, but don't. If you take a little bit off and come off the throttle just a tad, you'll find some traction, then you'll grip and you'll go around the corner. The only other thing you've got to be aware of, especially on the fast corners, as you go into a corner, before we get to some of the fast corners, you'll be asked to brake. I'll tell you when to brake the whole time. Brake back on the power. Once you're in the corner on that power, if you lift off the power, if you think you're going too fast for some reason or other, if you lift off the power, you'll suddenly create something called lift-off oversteer. If you lift off the power, oversteer's at the back, right now, okay? Best way to confront that is by nailing the power. If I start shouting power, 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 hit the power. If you do, it'll bring it straight.
This car is so drivable, you just want to push harder and harder. The front wheel drive pulls you through corners you don't actually believe you have a hope in hell's chance of getting around.
Up in the third gear. Okay, keep going. Tad of brakes, off the brakes. Aim for yellow now, brake hard up to it. Off the brakes, it's very tight to me, full power to the outside. Okay, flat out now. Yellow cone on the right, you're turning on that cone, okay? Just keep the power on. Keep going, turn in now, brake hard, a straight line. Back on the power, tight to the red ones my side. Middle of the road, full power. More towards me, good, flat out now, just tight right, flat. Keep it flat. Fourth gear if you're quick.
With my instructor shouting to go faster and faster, I felt confident to push the car and myself harder. It's a rare opportunity to be almost forced to go so quickly.
Keep it going, keep it going. Brake hard. To me, power, full power. Nice and wide coming off. Braking hard. Tight to me, full power, full power, full power. We'll get it next time. Hold a tight line, it's quicker. Get it straight, fourth gear. Keep it going, power to the outside, flat out, take some lock off, you'll find some grip. When we get up behind these guys, we will be overtaking them, so stay with them. And full power, well done, absolutely right. Keep it flat, brake, power, tight to me, full power, let her drift wide, let her drift wide. Oh, how did you find it, Gary?
Good. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But to be honest, you know when you say put your foot down and it pulls it down. It
does, yeah.
As long as you don't believe it at first. Yeah, all right. But it does, isn't it?
Yeah, as I said before we went out, if the thing goes sideways at all, just nail the power and it will bring it straight, as you've now demonstrated yourself.
If it understeers, to bring it back
and
the grips again, that's such a weird thing.
Rather than put more and more lock on, take a tad off. Seems weird, but you will get some grip back. Absolutely.
The only thing the one at the end, I'm not sure what you call it, where you've got the cones to guide you around it.
Right, the chicane.
I just going wide there.
We're going very, very quickly, I think. I think that didn't help. And what you need to really be doing is braking in a straight line. I think what you were doing is you were braking, and as you were turning, you were coming off the brake before you turn. So what tends to happen when you're braking is always braking in a straight line. Reason being, the weight's getting thrown around the car. So if you imagine when you're braking in a straight line, you come off the brake, turn, all the weight done in a straight line. Take the foot brake into the corner, then let go of it. All the weight's getting thrown around in the corner. Right. That's why that was happening.
So braking for too long?
Yeah, braking too long. You should brake off power.
What was the time like?
The time was very, very good actually. It was 91.22.
What's the best been today?
Well,
is that it?
I think yesterday you would have been all right on that time, but I'm afraid I took something around earlier. I think an 89.99 or something. I think it's the quickest today, so it's a bit chin up, I'm afraid, Gary.
All right.
Gary's doing really well. As I can see here, on the VX220, he's the fastest in my team of 15, so it's good. And on a Zige, Gary, again, is the fastest, so he's good. So he's following in the right lines, doing what he's meant to do. And on the S2000, again, Gary's the fastest. So.
I'm actually very embarrassed about my poor level of, genuinely, about my poor level of musical ability. I'm not a very good player, really, guitar or keyboards, and I'm not a very good singer. So for me to go and jam with someone else, you know, I'd be embarrassed at my inept lack of ability. So I don't think so. There's a number of people I admire in it that you know, working with would be a nice thing. Trent Reznor, obviously 9 Inch Nails, that's would be cool, and many others. But to just go out and hang out around somebody's house and play, I can't. I'm not good enough. At last it's time for a real racing car. This is not the most powerful car here, but it is by far the lightest and quickest. With wings and slick tyres, this car is not only incredibly pretty, but for the first time today, it's a true single-seater. No instructor this time, so I hope I've learnt enough. Jumping from one car to another is quite demanding because they're often quite different in terms of handling and performance. You have to adapt very quickly. It's very easy to find yourself wanting to brake in the wrong places and turning too late or too soon, or, in my case, too aggressively. I'm constantly rethinking what I'm doing to get the most from myself with each change of car. The Palmer Audi is about the most exciting car I've ever driven. The grip is almost unbelievable. The acceleration, the brakes, all superb. The engine noise is fantastic. The open cockpit, the wind noise, the view past those front tyres and wing is just an amazing experience. If all I'd done all day was just the one drive in this car, I would have gone home happy. I thought it would be a real handful, you know, and just twitching about all over the place. But it wasn't at all. It was at the speed I was going anyway. It felt quite easy to drive. The gearbox
is funny. It's a tiny little movements, but I've done it a couple of times before, and so I was able to get it right most of the time. I missed 2 gears, well, the same gear twice on just over the back here. But all I did was I just thought about it a little bit, just added half a second to my time. I was just trying to rush and be a bit flash, making a mess of it. So just that little bit of caution, and then it went every time. So I only missed 2 gear changes on all of it, and I was changing everywhere. Somebody said that you could probably go around it all the way in third, but not really. It was, I was screaming up past 6,000 before I even got to this right-hand corner over the back there, so I had to change. My favourite car of the day would be this one, but very, very closely followed by the Lotus.
Right, Gary, up on the screen here we have a printout which shows your lap that you did in that session, your best lap, versus a lap done by Justin Wilson. Now, Justin Wilson was 1998 Formula Palmer Audi champion. He was also European Formula 3000 champion, 2001, and he's also been testing for Jordan in Formula 1. So it's a little bit of an unfair comparison, but there you go. Looking at speed, it follows Justin's line quite nicely there, okay? All sort of follows reasonably well. And having a look at speed, if we bring up the speed trace there, your top speed is 110.2 miles an hour, which is pretty good, pretty good. Average was 75.9, and your lap time down this bottom corner is 1 minute 18.830. The only thing is, Justin's lap's 106.880.
The day at Bedford with Palmer Sport is quite possibly one of the best days I've ever spent on a racing track. The cars are all in excellent condition, in fact they all look virtually brand new. The variety of tracks available at the Bedford Autodrome is very impressive, with virtually no barriers to hit anywhere, just big grassy runoff areas. This fact alone gives you a lot of confidence to try that bit harder. But it was the instructors who made it so special. You are not only allowed to drive the cars as hard as they will go, you are positively encouraged to. The track, the cars, the people, it all made for a truly exceptional day.
That's it for this week. Join us next week on Gary Numan's Cars.